I like to think of it like a duck on a pond. Okay,
Yes.
right. So stay with me on this one. So the top of the duck, the bit that everybody can see, I like to think of as the journey, the customer experience. Okay, and you can make the feathers fluffier, and you could put a little bow in the duck's hair, and
Yeah.
you could put some lipstick on it, and it could look. I mean, it'd probably look pretty weird if you did that, but it'd look pretty cool. But if you've got no idea what the legs are doing under the water, it's not necessarily going to help. If the legs are all dangly and shriveled and dead, then that's no.
Correct.
The process guys, what they tend to do is only look at the legs under the water, and they'll make them
Correct.
more efficient, more effective. They'll try and automate it. They'll put little propellers on it and stuff. But of course, if they've got no idea in which direction the duck is facing above the water, they could just be making that duck travel faster into dirty water or into the propellers of a boat.
Correct.
But the third
Correct.
element as well is the actual water itself, which is the culture, the environment, the habitat that the duck lives in. And again, if that water is the wrong type of water, let's say you put a duck in a salt water pond, I don't even know if they exist, but if you did, it would die. Not necessarily immediately, but at some point it would die. If you put the duck into boiling water, it would die. You've got to have the right water for the duck to thrive in as well. So that thinking is something that you don't actually see very often in the customer experience world. People think that customer experience is one thing, process is another thing, culture is something else. But it seems that we agree that it is all one and the same thing, and it cannot be treated independently. And if you do treat it independently, what you're doing is fracturing the work that people are doing and not allowing people to come together to help deliver that common goal.
Completely agree, James. And it's a brilliant analogy, actually. You are the analogy king, and that is an analogy worthy of an award. But ultimately, I totally agree. The only thing I would add is that when I describe this to organisations, I add a third layer, which is technology. And I talk about there being three fundamental layers, and maybe the technology is the I don't know, the surrounding of the pond. I don't know. But in your analogy, you can think of a better analogy than me. But ultimately, the journey is the first layer. That it's only in recent times organisations have become consciously aware of the fact they have one. The second layer are business processes that have been developed by people sort of without any consciousness of the journey. And the third layer is the technology layer. Like process, businesses bought, developed and implemented technology without knowing there was a customer journey. And businesses are still doing that to this day, spending billions on technology without really understanding what the journey is. And so, ultimately, this is why customer experience is ultimately the responsibility of every single person, every single function in an organization. And until they collaborate with each other and link arms together to deliver the experience together and align those layers, they are never going to deliver a consistent experience. And so what this behavior, what this phenomenon results in is reactive behavior that leads to random experiences. And your analogy of the process guys only looking at the legs under the water, it ultimately leads to lots of corrections being made to processes that fundamentally correct the problem but don't change the journey. And so the same problems are being fixed over and over again, and people are normalizing that and thinking that correcting things going wrong is normal.